Okay.
Well, maybe now that we're on the official record, I'd like to officially welcome everybody. And we've got the pleasure to have the Board of Directors Chair for Badger Region joining us, Jim Momsen. So thank you, Jim. And he will recognize many of these slides that we're going to go through tonight because they have stood the test of time for content. So we got a smaller group tonight. There is a Badger game. The Final Four starts tonight. So we'll get through this fairly quick. It's been taking about an hour or less. So as folks join in.
Yeah, we're at 13 now, Teague. They're coming in.
Lucky 13.
It's being recorded, so if you guys could mute, and if you have questions, feel free to unmute and ask questions at any time or put something in the chat.
So Sarah and I are going to tag team throughout this, but this is the preseason orientation meeting for the upcoming season. So Sarah's going to run some slides for us.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, I am. Sorry. I am.
And here's what our agenda looks like. We got two parts. Part one is all about the officials administration. So Badger Region contact information, your referee requirements, assigning, mentoring, and recruiting new officials. And part two will be new rules and points of emphasis and a little bit on the advancement side of things. And Sarah's going to cover part one because that will make her life easier. And she's the guru at all of the administration items. And then I'll kick in and give you an update on some new rules for the year.
Okay, so hi, I'm Sarah. Y'all know me. Things have been kind of crazy in the office, and I don't know if anyone was aware, but during the parade in Waukesha with the truck that drove through, my niece and nephew were hit. So I've been kind of busy at the hospital with my family as well. My niece is out. My nephew has some head issues and brain issues. So I've been kind of on and off for the last couple weeks. So if I haven't gotten back to you, I apologize, but I am keeping up as oh, guys, make sure you guys mute yourselves. There you go. And I will keep up as much as I can. I'm normally going, and if I'm in the waiting room of the hospital, I'm doing work and everything. So I'm catching up on everything that I couldn't get done in the past. So I apologize if I didn't get back to you. But let's start this off. Okay, as you guys know, I cover all of the recertifications as well as the new officials that come on board for Badger Region. Right now, we are currently up at 96 certified officials that are ready to be assigned this season, which is awesome. The requirements have not changed. If you have questions about Sports Engine, much like we all do, please let us know or let me know. Sports Engine is just as confusing this year as last year, but we're trying to get through it together. So a lot of it is safe sport, refresher, and accessing your modules. So please let me know. Like I said, the requirements have not changed. Sharky and I have updated the officials page to give you guys a nice checkoff list of things that you need with links associated, which is kind of cool. We also, in order to be assigned, I am assigning you guys while you're getting your requirements done. And that's just because events have been coming up pretty quickly. As you can see, we had some events going on in December, which we haven't really had in the past. So I'm assigning you, anticipating that you will get your requirements done. I'm also helping with the tracking of the mentoring and the recruiting of, obviously, of new officials that right now we have 28 new officials that we're getting through. So if you see anyone new, make sure you introduce yourself to them and say hi. Okay, Teague, you want to do part two? Where'd you go?
Yeah, part two will come in the latter half of this, and we'll talk about new rules and points of emphasis and some advancement opportunities. I can hit this one up, Sarah. So Badger Region contacts for all of you. Obviously, we've got the ref chair and assigner, Sarah, which you know, and then you got myself, Teague, as the USAV liaison and advancement, and the scorekeeping chair is Lexi. And Jim Momsen is on the line with us. He's the board president for Badger Region, and there's great Badger Region staff. So if you haven't met them, you'll see them and meet them at Badger Championships. But boy, they do an awful lot of great work for the region. That's Jen, who's the executive director, Scott, Brian, Sarah, and Kelly. And all their contact information is listed on the webpage. So they're very responsive and great folks to work with if you need their assistance in any form.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's all good.
Okay. Ref and score requirements, which they're the same every year. Current USA membership, the $25 annual fee. If you're over 18, obviously that covers the rule books, which we will discuss. Teagan and I have updates on that. This training that we've done, this is our 5th training, Teagan, I think.
For context.
Yes. And also it covers the mentoring and a lot of the education, as well as the Zebra web that we use every year for assigning. We also want you to, I lost Teagan. It looks like he's coming back in. Hold on one second here. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties here. Teague, you good?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, I know. It looked like I had to readmit you. It's so weird. I don't understand what's happening, but that's all right. Completing the annual training requirements, as you guys, when we'll talk about it for the scoring part, that these scoring modules are up. Thank you, USA headquarters, for getting that done for us. And your online certifications for provisional, regional, and in training. Taking the test, which is up. It is currently not connected to one of the certifications. So Matt Potchwhite, who does all the education, is currently working on some of the connections we have in our academy. So get what you can done, and we will add on what we can later. Background check is actually every 1 year, and it just changed, Teague. So it is what it is. And it's $14 per year now, but it may change next year. So for now, it's one every year. Your icing W-9, you guys are aware of that. You can either mail it to me, which is fine. I know some of you do that because you don't feel comfortable sharing it online. However, we have a very secure server in which you can use email me to put those forms in. Safe Sport, once you get the core done, you do refreshers every year, and that's just to make sure we are all following the USAV guidelines and being safe around junior players. And of course, the on-court observation, which you only have to do once when you first start, including mentoring and things like that. That's me. If you need me, office number is the top number. We are in now. I get in between 3 and 4 days a week. We work out at home too, just because it works out better for all of us. So a lot of us work at home and in the office. My cell is a great way to get a hold of me. That's my work cell and personal cell. It's all in one. I didn't want two because it's too much juggling. So one is perfect. And of course, there's my email address. We have been having server issues in the office where our emails are delayed. So if you email me, I may not get it for 2 to 3 days. But Scott and Sharky are on the case, hoping we can get something. They're connected through our website. So something is happening with if you guys are IT people, maybe this makes sense to you. So if you don't hear from me right away, send me a quick text and say, I sent you an email, and then I can try to get things pushed through. Okay, hold please. There we go. Zebra Web, everyone's familiar with Zebra Web. I know we have some new officials on here. Do I have Michael? Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Michael. Everyone say hi to Michael. Michael's new this year. He did his on-court evaluation at Fall League. So I'm very happy that he's continuing. He's also a WIAA official. So if you ref high school, you probably recognize Michael. So we do, so Michael, you've already been, I've activated you on this. Make sure you guys have your calendars up to date. The event sanctions bombarded me last week because a lot of the tournament directors forgot to put them in. So you're going to be seeing that things are still being assigned for the month of January. I apologize for that, but I can only assign what I get through the sanction process. So if they're not sanctioned, I don't assign. keep your ZebraWeb up to date. And I get it. I get declines come in. I'm not this harsh, crazy, you decline one, I'm never going to sign you ever again. I get we all have lives. Just reach out to me before you decline and let me know that you just totally forgot. You have a family obligation. I totally understand it. I am not one who's going to hold it against anyone if you guys are having scheduling conflicts. I completely understand, life happens. And once I assign you, please accept or let me know if you can't do it within 72 hours, just so I can get that event done and push to the side and go to the next event and make sure I check that off knowing it's assigned. Much appreciated.
Sarah, I have a question about that slide quick.
I'm going back. Hi.
So I don't know if anyone else got the email from Milwaukee Sting.
Yeah.
Is that part of this where we can, you're assigning those, or is that something that we have to go in and like register to officiate at those?
That just came out and I talked about it before you were on. I don't know what that's about. That's normally hasn't happened. If we have a sanctioned event and they have an option during the sanction, on the sanction form to check, yes, I need Badger Region to assign officials. So in that case of the Sting events, yes, they said they needed me to assign. So when this email came out, I've gotten it forwarded to me by like 6 people already, and it's been maybe 15 minutes.
Okay.
So everyone is confused as you are. So I did send an email out to Lane Litsky, who is their tournament director, to find out if they still need me to assign. So I will send a ZebraWeb out to let you guys know what's going on, because it's very difficult if it's a sanctioned tournament and I'm assigning in ZebraWeb. I can't see who signed up on AES on their side. So it's super confusing. So if you guys could just hold off for a little bit till I get an answer from Lane, then I can give you guys a clearer answer. Cool.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Or even if you want to be assigned it, I have everything assigned through January, but all of those sanctions literally just came in. So he might be a little anxious for some of his events, which is fine, but I don't want any confusion.
I can send you an email with the ones that I can do.
Okay, cool. Any other questions on that? Okay. Oh, I got something in the chat here. Oh, thanks, T.
If it's possible, to ask to be assigned like January and February as early as possible, because I have a work schedule that I need to work around, and I can tell them once I'm assigned that I'm not available for them.
Sure. Like I said, Joe, I'm doing the best I can. I can only assign as soon as I get the tournament sanctions. If I don't have the sanctions in the tournament, so I'm doing it. It's just tricky with the tournament director. So I'm hoping that they can submit sooner rather than later. And I think this is a matter of education too, because we had a couple years of COVID and I think people kind of forgot. So I'll send some reminders out, especially for next year. The sooner they can get me their sanctions, the better. Because normally I start getting them in October. So I'm a little surprised I'm getting them middle of December. So.
And it's just that I know it's like I've only got 1 or 2 right now in January. So I was just wondering. And I know last year I picked up a lot the weeks of, but the weeks of is really difficult to scheduling.
Right. And like I said, the last couple of years have been much different than years prior. We're just trying to, my goal is just to get, because once I get the sanction form, in case you guys don't know, once I get the sanction form, I have to build that event in ZebraWeb. And then once it's built and then I get an approval for it being built, then I can start assigning you guys. So it's a kind of a step-by-step process. So let's say I get 20 sanctions last night at like, I don't know, 9 o'clock at night. I'm not going to build them till the next day. So that's where there's kind of a delay. So, and if you guys have weekends that you're questioning before you take work assignments, please send me an email, because I don't want you to hold off on your job anticipating that you may or may not get assigned. Does that make sense, Joe?
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, Lexi, your account is under Teague's name. That's why I was so confused. All right, sorry, Teague. Okay, assigning hints. Most of the time when you're assigned, it's an all-day assignment if it's a one-day tournament. Normal start time is between 7:30 and 8 a.m. However, there are some really cool tournament directors that may say you can sleep in, Dan McCann, and not come in till 9:30, 10 o'clock. You know, it all depends, but then maybe they have you stay till 7. So most of the time it's an all-day event, but what'll happen is once you accept it, and it's a one-day tournament, that's when I send your information to the tournament director, and then they send out information to you about the details of the event. Semifinals and finals are normally, yes, they start around bracket play around 1, 2 o'clock for those one-day events. If you get a ZebraWeb generated email, which I love sending because it gets to all of you and it stores in your web and your ZebraWeb. If you respond to it, it will never get to me. So if you need something, just forward it to me and then address it, which a lot of you are really good at doing. Okay, Teague, you want this one since you're cool like that?
Sure. Badger Region Championships, one of my favorites. The dates and locations are secured. It's in Milwaukee at the Wisconsin Center. It's 3 weekends. The first weekend, March 19th and 20th, are the older players, 16, 17s, and 18s, and then the Dale Rhodey boys tournament. That's also the venue for regional officials advancement. So if you're pursuing that, make sure you have that date open. And then the March 26th and 27th and April 2nd and 3rd. And I know there's a lot of veterans on the call. This is a family reunion, as it's been described to me for a long time from Jim Momsen. And for your new folks, this is where you get to meet your family and lots of good folks to interact with. It's a wonderful tournament.
Yes, and I also secured our staff and ref blocks at the Hilton again. Despite the NCAA and all of that, I got my blocks. Everything is great. So I'm excited to jump us back into this. Some of the weekends are assigned, but they're not fully assigned. I just wanted to get secure, especially for the higher level tournament. Some of you higher level veterans on here have probably already seen that you got some assignments. So bless you. Thank you for accepting.
Yeah, if you've never been to Badger Region Championships, if you're new, we take over the Wisconsin Center downtown and put up anywhere from 26 to 32 courts, and it's all day, both days of the weekend. So it's really a cool event. As Teague said, it's a family reunion. You get to see people that you maybe only work with or see once a year, because we bring in referees from all over the state and sometimes outside of the state, and as well as the coaches and teams. So
And staff, which we all love.
it's a neat experience.
Well, and another great thing is we may get approved for hot food again. Yay, everyone. I know. So I'm really pushing that. I get the COVID thing, it happened, and last year snack bags were less than ideal, and I understand. But because of COVID and us having to run that event the way the Wisconsin Center asked us, they were very particular in carrying any items of food in the facility. So this year, I think they're a little bit less. So I'm hoping we can get you guys back on the yummy fettuccine and lasagna track. So I'll let you guys know once we get closer. AES, I'm actually going to be using AES for the WVC this year. That's how we're going to get back into it. Now WVC is happening. Do not ask me how, when, where, or when. Again, when, twice, because they are still working on dates. It looks like from the last meeting I was in with their board, they are going to be doing more play dates than dual matches, which is really good for us. It will give you everyone more matches, quicker play. Most of the time it's going to be best of 3. If they do want to do duels, there will be multiple duels in one day. And I think the duels will be really reduced from 5 sets to 3. So if you're interested, or if you're interested and you put in your survey, your results that you want to become junior national or national or something like that, I'm happy to give you guys some WVC events with some mentoring, since it's a wee bit higher level. But more on that, I do not have a schedule yet. So if you do And Mackenzie, if Lane is using, AES, make sure if you do sign up on AES for an event that you block that weekend in ZebraWeb, because I can't and other assigners can't see what you accepted in AES in an alternate assigning system.
Okay.
Cool, thanks. You want to do this one? No? Yeah, Teague, you do this one.
Yeah, so your assigner is your best friend, and our goal as officials is to make their job easy because they have a really complex job. So one thing you can do right away in this preseason is let Sarah know what your travel preferences are, where you're coming from, and who you might like to carpool with, whether you work full days, 10 matches a day, or if you like to scale back and say, I'm a 6-match official and I can only do mornings or afternoons. So get that out to Sarah, because it's in best interest of both parties. Sarah's role, she gets the available tournaments out there. She assigns all the officials, and for these all-day tournaments, that usually start at 8 and have 8 or 9 matches. I think she's trying to assign 3 officials to rotate on 2 courts. So that'll give some officials some downtime, and it will give some officials some time to work as an R2 with a partner. And she's really good at mixing officials for the level of play. And so folks get to meet each other. So yeah, work with your assigner. And thank you, Sarah, for assigning.
You're welcome. It's actually going okay. It's going okay so far. We have, and by the way, officials and the season ones that are on here, we have a lot of new tournament directors this year. So baby steps, we're going to figure it out. Okay. Yes. Oh, thank you for adding that. The increase in pay. So as you guys can see, we do best of 3. So if you're first year official or in training still, it's $27 for best of 3. Provisional above, you're $30. The bonus is at what 2 board meetings ago, we approved an increase in pay for our Badger Region run events, which include Badger Region Champs, Badger Region Qualifier, the Dale, and Badger Region Power League. Sorry, I had to stall for a minute. So if you can see below, $30 for provisional is still the same. 32 for regional, 34 for JNs, and nationals are 35. So it's a really great increase that we worked on to get you guys, some more paid, because we're really trying to encourage our region officials to come work our events. Mileage, it was revoked by the board. However, if there are extreme circumstances, and some of you have been on in that situation the last couple of years, I'm happy to help out with hotels and mileage, especially those last minute going to the Champion Center from Eau Claire, where's Jerry Shuey from? Platteville? No, wait, where is he from? Yeah, I've asked Jerry. Yes, so there have been times where I bring people over when I really need help, especially at the higher level Power League when I'm short. So I'm happy to work with you guys. I also have blocks for officials for that situation at Power League, just in case I need to move people around. So we kind of anticipated that it might happen. You want to do this one, T?
Sure. So I think our role as officials, as well as to kind of recruit new officials, replace ourselves, grow another official. Obviously, volleyball is a growing sport. Many more players, more events, more courts to cover. Long days are tough on all of us. So new officials are always needed. And officials move on for various reasons. So it can be former players are great, become great officials, parents, some coaches that have gone over and want flexibility. So anyone's all welcome. So if you see a good one, make sure you recruit, or if you have a friend from who you played with, go ahead and recruit them as well.
Okay, we are going to be doing mentoring as requested. So if you would like to be mentored, and let's say you are going for your regional JN and you want some feedback, please reach out to me and or Teague, and we can get some things set up for you. The earlier, the better. It's very hard to find mentors last minute. And there are mentors that do reach out to me with weekends that they are available to mentor. And so I try to match them up with people I assign with certain events. So there's a lot of moving pieces. So if you do want to be mentored, and it honestly, I think it was my first year I was mentored by Jim Mumpson, Patty Rolfe 1,000 times, Julie Volk 1,000 times, and it was daunting and scary, but it was the best thing that ever happened to me as an official, especially my first year, because I think was it Dave Henning? And I think even Rick Jones and Wasserstrass, everyone did it. I think there was a lot of mentoring. So if you are regional, actually, it's not even regional above. If you are on this call and you're interested in being a mentor, please email Teague and I separately. And we're happy to consider and add you to the list because we can never have too many mentors. This is Teague.
All right, so Sarah does a great job with all the administration items to get us all set up for success. So we're assignable, we're working in the same system. So appreciate that. We're going to move in the second half into 2022, the new rules and some points of emphasis. There's only about 10 minutes of this content. So obviously this isn't a training clinic, but the goal here is just to orient officials, new and veteran, on all the excellent opportunities and resources that are out there for officials. So we can all have on-court success at any level, whether it's 18 opens or 12-year-olds. It is a new rule book year, so it's new for the 2022 season. The PDF of that rule book will be available December 23rd. It will be printed sometime and delivered to you sometime in the somewhat near future. Badger Regent just posted on their website a summary of the rule changes. So you can use your old rule book predominantly and go get the summary of rule changes, and you will be well prepared for the season. The exam, if you have not taken them, there are no questions that are related to the new rule changes. So rest assured, you'll be fine from that perspective. Some other opportunities and resources. You probably all started the USAV modules through Sports Engine, and the requirements are by level, and Sarah preloaded those. And there's also something out there called the whole shebang, which is every module out there. And these are fantastic learning opportunities. So you can spend a cold winter night going through these modules at your own pace. It's like a college course. You go through the 100 level, the 200, the 300, the 400. I think it goes up to 500. So a great, great resource. Next opportunity, Sarah mentioned it, is the coach mentors. Badger Regent has some fantastic experienced officials. They're more than willing to share their knowledge with you at any level. Like Sarah mentioned, you can be a JN or a national and get really great feedback, or you're just starting off and you're going to be drinking water from a fire hose, but lots of folks are willing to do that. Other opportunity is watch other officials. So NCAA tournaments going on right now. We watch the officials more than we watch the level of play sometimes. If you're at a tournament, ask an experienced official, who should I watch? And they'll tell you who to watch. And there's nothing like experience. So if you live a moment, have an experience, you'll never forget it and you'll learn from it. So that's one of the best ways to learn. And then there's a great rules comparison document. If you're coming off your high school season and transitioning into USA, there's a nice 120 point reference. It's kind of the Reader's Digest cheat sheet that compares the two rule comparisons. So it's a good start. So.
Hey, Teague, as far as that watching officials, obviously the NCAA women's season is about to come to an end on Saturday, but we've got a lot of obviously club volleyball coming up. We also have some NCAA men's volleyball in the state. A lot of the Division III schools have men's programs. Concord, if you're from the Southeast Wisconsin, out your way at Edgewood, just go out and look around or contact one of us and you'll see some of the higher level officials working those events. And they're always happy to talk to you after the match, not during. But if you've got questions on anything or you want to send an email to Teague or Sarah, please feel free to do that.
Yeah, good nugget, Jim. Thank you. Referee uniforms for USA Volleyball, it's navy blue pants, white shoes, and white socks. So different than high school.
Forgot to call you when we left first.
I think that's Patty Dawson. You might want to mute. The shirts are blue, white, or gray. There's where you can purchase them. I think they're around $35 a pop. They come in short sleeve and long sleeve. I heard they're in extremely high demand and very, very difficult to get. So if you put an order in today, you might not get it till the end of the season. So knowing that, the old classic style polo is still okay and acceptable. And if you don't even have that, just a plain white shirt with no logos, you can use those in a crunch, especially if you're starting off. Those are completely acceptable until the uniforms come into play. There's no requirement to match. So if you go to a tournament with 20 officials, they may be all wearing different color uniform tops during that match. So probably if you're going to pick the colors you get, white is the default. So you want to get a white for sure. And probably that blue is the next one that folks go. And less than 5% of the people wear the gray, just to give you a hint. All right, we got to put this one in here, referee professionalism, because Badger Region has really set a high standard and a really good standard for professionalism in all aspects. And that includes kind of appearance. So when you show up, as soon as you walk through that door, to the uniform that you wear, the accountability side, both for your assigner and the tournament director. We don't show, they don't play. It's really a challenge, and accountability on making sure all of our requirements are completed in advance. Again, being on time, the worst nightmare of a tournament director is not to have their officials in the gym. They get really nervous, and then working with your assigner, it's a tough job. So let's make Sarah's job easier, and let's not make Sarah do her job twice because we forgot to do something on our end as official. And as Jim Momsen said, we're a family supporting the officiating team. We're all doing the same job. We're supporting each other through mentoring and training and helping folks out. We all have rough days. We all have bad calls. We support each other as officials. And we're really representing Badger Region for in-state tournaments. And those folks that go out of state and do tournaments, we're also representing Badger Region. So just a few nuggets on that. Event and court management reminder, and kind of a point of emphasis again, the warm-up protocol. Typically, when you get there, check in with the tournament director to see what it is. It's typically 244, and make sure you've got the location of the tournament manager and location so you can figure that out. And it's really about timing. So as officials, we run those courts, and I've learned this from a number of folks. Seconds turn into minutes. Minutes turn into 10, and 10 turns into an hour in a full day tournament. So courts can get behind an hour or two just because officials aren't adhering to the timing and the protocol. So keep those matches moving, keep the warm-ups moving, work with your score table so they're all capiche, and we don't have to do bench switches, so that may speed things up a little bit. Flying through these. Badger Region also has a great Spectator code of conduct that they came out. It's posted at all the Badger Region events. So those parents and spectators that come in, hopefully can take a glance at it. It's really club's responsibility to educate their parents and the spectators. It's not the role of officials. If you have problems with parents, just go request that event management takes a look at it, and they come over and they enforce. They may say something, whatever it does. So they enforce all of that piece of it. So you can just focus on reffing a good match. And I'll add the behavior of parents in Badger Region has increased significantly in a really positive way over the last several years, I think, from these kinds of efforts. So, all right, here's probably what you've been waiting for this entire time is what are the rule changes for this upcoming year? And there's really only one big one, and it's the uniform bottom. And the rule change is that any style of uniform bottom is allowed as long as it's the same color. So there's the picture of the long black spandex and the black shorts. And there's the picture from the rule book out there. All of those styles of uniform bottoms are legal as long as they're the same color as all the other teammates, with the exception of the libero. So libero can have something completely different color and style. So
T, can I just talk one more thing, say one more thing about
Please.
the code of conduct?
oh yeah,
Officials, just so you guys know, this year I am shipping brand new code of conduct banners to all of our tournament directors that submit a tournament sanction form. And I'm shipping them right from the manufacturer, and they're beautiful. They do mention things about officials as well. And in much more bold, we redid the whole code of conduct. So it truly does focus on parent behavior toward officials. So, and I know it's just a banner, but if you don't see the banner at an event that you've been assigned to by me, please let me know, because A, they're not cheap. B, by sanction rule and the region rule, they have to display that banner in full vision of everyone coming and going. So if you do not see that, or if you can't find it, let me know.
and I'll add on to that. I'll go out on a limb. 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and they're really having fun. 17 and 18-year-olds, the parents have figured it out. Barking doesn't really help. It's the 15 and 16-year-old parents that are probably the toughest, because everyone thinks their kid is ready for a scholarship and they want it reffed correctly so they get their scholarship. So be prepared in that realm. So, all right, that's just a side note. Uniform reminders. The libero uniform must be a uniform that clearly contrasts with the rest of the team. There's no longer a need for one or either to be a solid color. So as long as they clearly contrast, and there's some great examples on the web to do that. The numbers, the jersey number must be a color that is clearly in distinct contrast with the color of the jersey, irrespective of any border. So let's look at number 1 on the left. It's got a white border, a black number, and a black uniform. So those are non-compliant jerseys. So that's an example of the border color. So just a reminder.
And also, if any of you are reffing the next couple weeks, or even maybe early into January, there have been significant delays in shipments of jerseys. So Teague and Jim Momsen and we all discussed it. And I think it's going to be tournament. If it's a sanctioned tournament by us, the tournament director will reach out to me, and then I'll CC Teague and Jim, and they will normally we want kids to play. So if they have a waiver, we could waiver the whole event depending on what Teague and Jim, talk about. And if there is a significant delay, we don't want people to go out and have to buy brand new things, or we want them to play, but also play where we can easily, distinguish between and make sure it's still run appropriately. So if there are any questions, the tournament directors will tell you, hopefully when you check in for your tournament for that day.
All right, the switching side question. 2022 for USAV Nationals and qualifiers, they will not be switching sides. That's also the Badger region preference. So house rules, if a tournament director has determined that there's an advantage to one side, they can ask officials to have teams switch sides. If you don't hear anything from the tournament director, you get to decide that they don't switch. It'll make everybody's life easier.
T, can I ask a question about that?
Please.
So if there's six courts in a tournament, 1 court has an obstruction and 4 don't, can that 1 court switch sides and 4 not? Or are we doing the same thing on all the courts?
Yes, I believe it's court by court basis.
It is. Okay, that's what I would hope, but I wasn't sure what the rule was on that.
Yeah, it's court by court basis, because there's always that 1 court that's in the sun. So,
Always, yep.
or 2 courts that are in the sun, like Recplex, court 1, we all know that.
Right, yeah,
So
perfect, thank you.
Yeah, any tournament director, they'll let you know that when you check in, especially if you're on that court. And if you have questions, or if you notice there's an obstruction that the coaches ask about, feel free to talk to your event coordinator about that.
A quick question regarding that. Just a couple examples, so we're all on the same page on what we consider a court advantage on one side or other. It's not just the ceiling, it could also be that there's a shorter service area on one side or other. Are those good examples?
Yes, and is that Jason? Jason?
Yeah.
Is that you? Hi, I got your email, by the way.
Okay,
Yes, I'm gonna respond. I got it today.
no problem.
Yes, and if that's the case, make sure the event coordinator knows. So he knows what you're doing, and especially if you switch off, the event coordinator knows to communicate that with the next official. Because that's where we kind of miss, remember, especially when we're flipping back and forth. So hopefully the event coordinator will know that ahead of time. If they don't, feel free to point it out to them if you notice it.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
All right, now we're getting into a little bit of the details. You'll probably forget over the holidays, but this will get you thinking and in the mode. A couple reminders for USAV is the captain meetings and the coin toss is we double whistle and hold the coin up in the air to get our captains over. You assign the teams, you are heads and you are tails, and the winner can choose serve, receive, or believe it or not, they can choose side if they want to be grumpy. Try to discourage that. The libero can be the captain, and no coach is needed in the captain's meeting in USAV. The warm-up protocols, make sure you check in with the tournament director on what they're running, but they're typically 2 shared for serving team and then for the receiving team. And that shared 2 minutes starts before your captain's meeting. So get those courts moving. Players on the bench, they can sit on the bench or they can stand at the end of the bench, typically off of the sport court. So they can stand in USAV. Timeouts in USAV are 30 seconds. The R2 double whistles. There's no need for the R1 to do anything. And the R2's arm signal is towards the bench. The R2 gives an informal number of timeouts used to the R1 right upon the whistle for the timeout. And there's no numbers above the shoulders at the end of the timeout. And the R2 lets the coach know when they've used 2 timeouts. And they also let the R1 know that 2 timeouts have been used. And then the R2 double whistles in between sets is at the 30-second mark. So get them back out on the court with 30 seconds remaining on that clock.
I have a question.
You bet.
Quick. So, well, actually, it may be on the slide, but for score tables with the younger ages, is a coach required to be there with them at the table?
Yes. So coach should be in close proximity to that table so they can help out those players.
Actually,
Okay.
that reminds me of something. I did the motion coaching clinic last night for scorekeepers for the U14 kids. It was a blast. We got them on the court. It was so fun. I enforced the coach has to be at the table for the 14 and unders because especially when they start. So Tegan, Jim, I'm going to send you guys an email that I think we need to communicate to club directors and maybe enforce it a little bit, that especially with the U14 teams that we have to have a coach that's there, or even coming in to be the R2 so they can be active in assisting the score at the same time. So I'll send you guys an email on that.
All right, substitutions in USAV, 12 substitutions per team. You let the coach know when they use 9. If you're the R2, you're probably going to have a junior R2. So we recognize subs only when they enter the sub zone, which is the 10-foot line. So as soon as they step on or across that 10-foot line, that's when we recognize. We don't recognize by a verbal or a coach's hand signal. It's a good indicator they're going to have a sub, but don't blow your whistle until they come across. We don't get to use lineup cards in USAV. The R1 doesn't have to signal substitutions anymore, and coaches can pull back substitutions. If they cross the 10-foot line and you whistle, recognize it, they don't want it, they can pull it back, but you have to issue a delay sanction. So it's just a delay warning for the first one. And those don't carry over from set to set. Coaches, 2 coaches can stand during play. We're rattling through these things. Line judge positions. So in USAV, during timeouts, the line judges are in the center of the end line on each respective side. Liberos, they can have 2 liberos. They can designate 2 liberos in the first set, but if they do that, they're done for the match. They have designated those liberos for the match. They can serve in one position. This is where the triangle comes into play on our score sheets. They can wear different uniform colors. The top, of course, has to be clearly contrasting from the rest of the team, and they can wear any style or color of uniform bottom. It can be red, long, whatever that means. The attack, hit, signal, fault in USA, if it's across your body, not forward, like high school. And if the same player makes the third and fourth contact, it's a double. So it's the 2 signal. And sanctions carry over from set to set. So if you get a delay warning in set 1, the next one in set 2 becomes a delay penalty. There is a thing called a protest in USA. I'm not going to cover it, just know it's there because it doesn't happen very much. And a rule that's come into play a few years ago, if a duplicate number on the lineup sheet that's submitted, the libero is listed in the libero box and the same number is listed in the regular 6 rotation, they can go change that right up to the serve with no penalty. So it's kind of the friendlier, nicer way to do that. Captain, indicated on the lineup card on the left, notice the libero can be the captain. So there's a C by the libero, and if they're not using 2, they put an X. And the A in there in position 3 is the alternate captain, which is nice to know when the libero goes off the court. They've listed their captain, and on your score sheet, the box gets an X that's only used at national events, and the primary captain goes in the circle as 8, and the secondary captain goes in. The alternate captain is 10 is the next one. So minor stuff for the point of emphasis here in the score sheet. Here's the rules comparison. Boy, Jim Momsen showed me this a number of years. It's fantastic. So there's the list of 120 cheat sheet rules. This is a great study tool for you. And if you want to compare between USA and high school and NCAA, you can do it right there and get yourself in the right mindset for that. And there's the link for it. It's on PAVO's website. I also believe Badger Region has a link to it. So,
And just so you know, if you're, having trouble sleeping and going through this, if you see an item, let's use number 61 as an example. If you see an item where all 3 columns are the same, it's there because it changed from last year. So if they make a change, they're going to leave it in even if all 3 are the same. So just so you're aware that, why'd they leave it in there?
Sarah, I'm going to give you this one.
Sorry, I apologize. All right, short serve step-in rule. We all love it. We all love it, and I'm going to make it better, even better for you. My goal is to get this communicated out to all of you officials much earlier than the day of. And as the rule states, it has to be designated in the tournament information sheet that's sent out to teams before the day of the event. There are reasons for that, obviously. Because it's a confusing rule. Tournament directors cannot add it as, oh, sure, let's just add on the step-in rule to the 12s, 11s, whatever. That has to be designated ahead of time because it gives those coaches a chance to read the rule and understand the rule before they come in the door. That's where we don't understand it. Another goal of mine is, and Kelly's, is to get a laminated copy of the short serve step-in rule on the score table for every team that's on every court to make sure everyone has a copy of the rule because they forget, is it 20th point? Is it 21st point? In the third set, is it 12th point? Is it 13th point? So we're going to have these details for you well ahead of time, but please know that this isn't something that they just instill day of. They cannot do that. So they have to inform everyone, especially the officials, that they'll be using the step-in rule ahead of time.
Resources. Badger Region has, I think, one of the best websites I've seen, and there's lots of information, and there's a unique tab for officials with a number of sub tabs, but take a minute to familiarize yourself with that. And there's lots of good information that's out there, helpful hints and resources. And a number of things we referenced today are out there as well. So
And
use
this is
that.
all new, which is kind of cool. We added, especially match forms. I know it sounds silly, but if you guys need a match form to get your scorekeeping done and you're at a match and you want to do it, if that's the opportunity and what we do, you can get all that right here. Or if you need to, if you're newer and you want to see what the form, what everything looks like, it's all right here, which is it's kind of nice. So you don't have to piece through the USA website.
Just a quick reference for national clinics and advancement is the national clinics will all be online this year. Everyone's welcome. If you're not a national official, there's a small fee to join the clinics, but they're well worth it. So I'd encourage everybody to do that. They're going to try to do one every month starting in January for 4 months in a row. So Sarah will get out a Zebra Web memo once those become available and how to register for them. But it's a really great, you get to hear from some really high level officials, oftentimes outside of the state from different parts of the country. So I'm just leaving it at that as an FYI. And other referee observation and advancement opportunities. We are really fortunate within Badger Region of the support that they give to officials to grow us and make us successful at any level and as we go up the chain. So as Sarah mentioned, there are opportunities both formal and informal for feedback. So a mentoring session, Sarah can hook you up with that. Some officials do what they call drive-bys. If you ask them, they can give you 3 or 4 nuggets just like that. And the more formal observation is for advancement opportunities. And the biggest one in the region is once you come out of in training to provisional and you want to move up to the regional level, you get a recommendation, you notify Sarah via email that you're interested. Sarah puts you on some matches that will stretch you and put you with a coach mentor to prepare you for that. And you kind of get a little bit of a readiness assessment on that. Or the regional assessments, you're assigned a few matches at usually Badger Region Championships, and you have some coach mentors that take a look at you and formally move you on to the regional patch, if you want to call it that. It's more about the process and the learning experience than it is the patch. So it's just a wonderful way to get a lot of people that maybe have not seen you to see you. So it's a great effort that the region supports. And I'll add, Jim and Sarah can add to that one.
And it is. Lexi Sheldon, who's on this Zoom, she was one of my coach mentors, and I adored it because she is tough. But I like the honesty. I mean, the only way we're going to improve is by being told things that we can improve. And the coach mentors are chosen because they give you things to work on, not things. It's not just because you're doing it wrong. However, be ready to be coached and given feedback during a match, because it happens, especially when you have tunnel vision, right, Lex? I'm done with that tunnel vision as an R2. So, but you know, Jim, if you want to add to it, it was a great experience, but boy, even being in volleyball as long as I have been, I was nervous. It's if you're not nervous, it's not right, you know?
If you're not nervous before a match, you're not trying.
Yeah.
I get for a girls 13s match. I've done national championships. So I just don't want to screw the match up.
Yeah.
You know, for you new folks, really I tend to really concentrate, especially with new folks, on the mechanics, how you signal, what you signal, when you signal. And Felix, who you can see here giving a touch call, he's the head of the PAVO board within the state, and PAVO officiates college women's ball. So we talk quite a bit. We both get into people's heads and say, what were you thinking on that play? And we're trying to get the thought process. Are you thinking correctly? Are you recognizing different possibilities? And are you getting the call correct? Even if you get the call correct, if your thought process is different, it might trip you up later on. So, you know, put in the work. New folks, get those mechanics down. It'll give you instant credibility. and, just keep learning.
Well, and Teagan and I, our goal with this whole, we're trying to push advancement is we don't want to hold anyone back. We get COVID held people, we get it. The last couple of years have been tough. It was tough for assigners, for officials, everyone. But we really want to give people the opportunity to move forward and gain experience and work with people like Felix. Felix is he mentored me and he's tough, but I adore him because he is honest. And when you do something right, you feel like you're getting a pat on the back by like your parent, because he really makes you feel good about when you did something and it starts to click.
Teague, I'll ask you a question. Would you be upset if every official in the region was at the national level?
Heck no, that's a great goal.
That would be a great goal.
And we have no quota system. So we want everybody
Yes.
to be as successful as they can be.
There's no reason that you should be held back, especially both financially and getting the opportunity to ref events all around the country. Yep. Look at that.
Yeah, I'll just quick on this one.
Yeah.
The next level that's outside the region's control is advancement from regional to junior national and junior national to national. So Badger Region has a pipeline. If you're interested, get in touch with Sarah, and she starts to assign matches, lots of high level mentors, great experience opportunities and so forth. So I think folks that are interested in that can reach out.
Well,
I'm glad Lexi's on the line too. So Lexi, you might be able to take yourself off of mute, or Sarah cover this one.
yes, and Lexi, great news. The scorer modules are up. Woo! So provisional and regional scores are up, which is great. They were held up at the USA side, but I'm being as patient as I can be because that's all we have. And Lexi just sent me a cool email, I think yesterday, about if we're going to do in-person score training, and I'm pushing for it, Lex. I think it's valuable. I think it's helpful, and especially having those people willing to educate, because we really want to get score monitors in, and score monitors who are monitoring events and helping these kids out. And that's one thing I really want to spearhead with Lexi, to get more tournaments to assign score monitors, so that all of these kids who are learning, they have someone that floats around and helps them out. I think that's something that's kind of been missed.
I'll add one thing on scorekeeping from my experience. 80% of the time as officials, when we're starting off or mid, you will be the R1. Where all the problems happen, where your heart sinks, is at the score table, and you got to be able to figure out and rectify a score sheet. So learning the score sheet to the best of your ability early on is in your best interest as an official, and learn it more than just upside down, because that's the way we look at it most of the time as the R2. So score sheet, as much practice as you can get scoring, the better. So if you got a downtime on a match, just grab your printed score sheet and go practice score a match. So I'll leave that little nugget.
Hey T, can I make one comment on that?
That's national official Alex. Yes.
So if you are looking to alleviate as T mentioned, like the most common error for an under 15-year-old age group, it is related to that score sheet.
Yes.
Now, by you knowing how to fix it, that's great. But also, if you know the score sheet well enough to what should be happening, like when a sub happens, I can look at the table from my stand. I don't have binoculars on, but I can see that they're writing something. If you know that a girl never wrote something down, you know the score and you know the substitution wasn't recorded. So there's little things like that knowing what should happen. Yes, can I see if they write the right number? No, obviously not. But if I know that pencil was never in her hand, I'm going to stop before I even beckon for the next server. And I'm going to double check with that table they wrote that down before I move on. Because then 4 points later, when we have this huge issue and I have to get down off the stand, and 10 minutes later, I didn't remember it was number 1 and 10 that switched. Waste a lot of time throughout the day. It gets worse and worse. So for me, that was a big thing. It was just learning what they're supposed to do. So I know what I'm looking for, especially in those lower or beginning matches or beginning of the season for that matter.
Yeah.
And then you alleviate a lot of your problems.
Well,
So that's my
Alex,
tidbit.
Alex, just to build off that, I was at Third Coast, and it was one of the first tournaments that we've had, and I could tell, and I've been working on making eye contact with the scorer, because when there's multiple subs and things going on and serve side out, and you watch them still writing, I'm really, you know, you can kind of tell when you look at them if they're confused, right? You know, or if maybe you should pause or wait a minute, you know, before it gets too deep, right? Is that what you're trying to say? And make sure you
Yeah.
catch those.
Yeah. So if you want to get really technical too, you know, we want to wait till they're totally done with that score sheet before we move on.
Yeah.
Is that going to happen every single time when you don't have an R2? Maybe not. But if you see them with that concerned look on their face, and you know there was just 4 players that subbed, you know, 2 on each team, and he or she has their head down, furiously writing, maybe take a deep breath, do another scan before you go ahead and beckon, so that they are done before you start and they have no idea what's going on. So scoring can be more beneficial as a referee than anyone, I think, realizes.
Yeah, I agree.
The scorer can be your best friend or your worst nightmare. And you want to be on the front side. So, all right, Momsen's going to update us with the Badger score, I'm sure. But while he does that, this is your forum for questions and answers. So it looks like the Badgers are up 1-0. And if you're shy, you can pop a question in the chat, or you can always have a follow-up question to anyone. It can be Sarah,
Anyone.
myself, or your mentor, or whomever. So it's the best way to
know. And we're building an FAQ page right now. So, and I'm taking a lot of the questions from these meetings, which I think is really helpful, just in case you forget, because I do. And it's nice to just get those little reminders.
I have a question. Sarah,
Yeah.
can we use headphones? R1 and R2s if we have an R2?
Absolutely.
Okay. Jake, you're my R2.
I do have a mute button on my headset that works.
Jim Munson does that to me every time we do college.
I set it to filter the other referee.
Okay, thanks.
Question. I took last year off. I was wondering if are there any particular COVID protocols we're supposed to follow during the region stuff?
Jason, that's an excellent question. And welcome back. I'm glad you're back on our list, because I missed assigning you. So right now the region has not stated anything yet. The biggest thing we are doing is it's going to be mostly tournament specific. Now, when I get a sanction, remember I was talking about sanction forms at the beginning, there is a spot where they have to put in their COVID protocols. And whatever's put in that spot is also put on your information when you get an email from the tournament director. So most of your COVID protocols will be tournament and site or facility specific.
Okay.
Is that, helpful? Right now, we don't have anything for like Power League champs or anything like that right now. We usually work on that. And I think that's being actually worked on by our board and our legal representation that we have that works with Jen. But the majority of the COVID protocols. Now, if you're Jason, if you're more comfortable reffing with a mask on, that is absolutely your prerogative to make yourself safe. And if there are additional protocols, those of course will be communicated through the site or the director that's running that tournament.
Okay. Well, I just know some of the sites said we're going to have to wear the mask, and other sites said we were optional. So I just wanted to kind of make sure I was kind of clear. So it's basically just whenever I'm going somewhere, I should probably check the protocols for that particular site. There's no, okay.
And Jason, I'll send them to you guys when because now it's going to be more clear this year. I'll send them to you after you're assigned, and when you get an email. Sometimes I put you guys on your own on courts, so I'll send the information, or I'll make sure that site director sends it ahead of time. But to be safe, make sure you have a mask in your bag just in case.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? So just so y'all know, you've been recorded, and you guys will, this is going to be the one that will be posted on the website probably tomorrow by Sharky. So thank you for participating in our meeting. Teague and I are still learning and growing, and it's been great. And we're looking forward to getting our officiating group back up to where it was in the past, right, T?
Yeah, and I'll give a shout out to Sarah too for the flexibility and the communication, and and a thank you to the officials. I mean,
Yeah.
we're still in kind of funky times. So I've gotten thanked a lot through the high school season and coming up. Thanks for being out there. So I think the players and the fans appreciate us just being out there to officiate them. So, and some officials have dropped out for varying reasons. So we're all in high demand for what we do for the game. So, and the purpose of this was just to give you the teaser, to get you in the mindset of your USAV season, to give you the needed resources. And there's lots of self-learning growth that goes on. And then the region provides an awful lot of support for officials as well. So hats off to everyone.
Well, and to that matter, remember, you're always being watched as well, not by other officials, but I think it was Jim Momsen who said this last year, that people are always live streaming, Facebook Live, Baller, all of that stuff. So make sure your pants are untucked on your shoe, because that's what Jim Momsen always calls me out on, and I will never forget it. And I also try to do obviously the best I can, but knowing I'm being live streamed, it's a little more nerve-wracking. Right, Jim?
Yep, and I'll reinforce what Teague said. People are, even though they complain about us, they are happy to see us, because without officials, it's just recess.
It's open gym. So great. Do you have any
Jim, you got a
additional-
Badger update for us? And if you folks want, go watch ESPN. The Badgers are probably in set 2.
Go get it. Oh, wait, I got a chat here. Hold on. Anything? Oh, you're welcome, Gina. I'm glad you got on. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, and have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
Sarah, I did send you a message. I think it went just to you.
Text me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Aaron, are there any good times, bad times to contact you? I just want to make sure I got everything in, and I'm just confused.
Michael, you're good.
What?
You're all set. Yeah, that's why I activated you on Zebra Web. You're all active and ready to go.
Okay, this was the last thing. Okay.
Yeah. So Michael, you're getting assigned already. Look
Okay.
out.
Yeah, I got the one I accepted. I'm waiting for more. Also, I just looked up the shirts. Yeah, good. I'm probably not going to get one this season. They're out of stock unless you're really tiny or wearing a 6L.
Yeah. So a plain white polo is fine for you, Michael.
Yep.
You're great.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.